after 8 o'clock in Nairobi. This is Sidebar. I'm Madowo.
My name is Wallace, Kantai, and for the first time, we are actually in our own studio. We've been everywhere except back home. So we are here at Nation Center bringing you Sidebar. And first, let's take a look at the week in 60.
First of all, why would I want to forge my own certificate? And in the same year, get admitted in two different institutions. Why would I do that?
Sasa ni wakimbia hawa jamaa wanajaribu sana kusumbua na kuweka kwa shida moja wa wanajeshi wetu ambaye anaitwa Ali Hassan Joho.
Kalonzo Musyoka, the former vice president, will not be deputy to anybody.
Safari hii sisi wana NASA tutakuwa na presidential tallying center. Na sisi tutakuwa na hiyo biometric yetu sisi.
If you disrupt a process for the selection of the county election votes, you have to answer for that.
Noisy week, and we're going to have an extremely busy show tonight because we have quite a distinguished panel. I'm even trying to save my breath. So Larry, you go for it. You introduce them because I'm trying to save my breath for what's about to come now.
Nominated Senator Elizabeth Ongoro is with us for the first time on the show. Welcome to the show. Junet Mohamed, MP for the fine people of Suna East. And the President's MP, well, great people of Gatundu South, Moses Kuria, is with us as well.
Who is doing free advertising.
We asked him to remove his kofia amekata.
Yeah. Because I came from campaigning in Gatundu, and I thought you need to live at my convenience, not me at yours, you know.
So in effect, what you've done is gotten free advertising for an hour.
No, I just came from where I came from.
You should pay for it.
You should pay for it. You know, you two are former cellmates.
I think it's okay, but that pales in comparison with how much you should pay me for me being here.
Why should we pay you for being here?
No, because I'm adding a lot of value to this show.
Let's speak at the end of the show, not at the beginning. Let's start off with we've got two NASA-affiliated leaders here. Francis Nyenze, who's the majority leader in the National Assembly, today said if Kalonzo Musyoka does not become the NASA flag bearer, he's going to walk. He's going to leave NASA. Na NASA itasambaratika. Senator Ongoro.
I want to state that with all due respect, he has his opinion. I want to believe what Kalonzo himself says. You know that Kalonzo is the party leader of Wiper. And holding that position means nobody else holds a position higher than his. What he states every time in all our rallies and meetings, publicly and in private, is that he respects the process that is still being undertaken, and that he's going to respect the decision and the outcome of that process, and he will support whoever will have been chosen as the flag bearer. I want to leave it at that, and anybody or anyone else purporting to give an opinion or a position on behalf of Kalonzo Musyoka, I don't want to go by that. I want to treat it as their own personal opinions, which could be very strong, and I respect that. But I want to respect what Kalonzo Musyoka himself
Is the implication, Senator, that Wiper is not speaking with one voice? As is usual in a party, there are different opinions from individuals, and then there's the party position, and that position is being espoused by none other than the party leader. And for now, because we have a process that we do not want to derail, I want to choose and to believe Kalonzo Musyoka and to take it at his word, both publicly and in private, he has insisted.
Maybe he's saying that in publicly and privately, but then he's got a lieutenant who's introducing this to the national conversation. Honorable Junet.
No, I don't need to add anything to what she has said. I think she has covered the issue proper. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, Francis Nyenze has been my minority leader for the last 4 years in Parliament. And I don't believe he's speaking on behalf of Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Because I believe and I suspect that is his own personal opinion, and he feels that should be the way to go. Those are his feelings. He's expressing his feelings.
But hang on, I take issue with that because you're implying several things that would be very worrying with someone who you're in a partnership or coalition with. One is you're saying that the party doesn't have enough discipline to speak with one voice.
Secondly, it's less than a month to go before all this nomination business is finished. And you can imagine if this is just at presidential level, how much worse it would be lower down the race. So are you saying that we're going to be seeing a lot more of this? The different people in different parties coming out and espousing on national television a different position from what you believe the main party position is?
That's normal. It's part of democracy. It's part of the democracy within NASA. I can come out tomorrow and say we will not accept anybody other than Raila to be the flag bearer. Somebody else will come and say, no, it must be Mudavadi. Somebody will say, no, it must be Wetangula. It's normal. We should not read.
But it sounds indisciplined.
We should not read too much into it. In the end, the final decision matters.
Honorable Junet, it sounds indisciplined, though. That's
no, I think we must all remember that we have a 12-member committee that was carefully selected.
He's a member of that committee.
Nyenze is not a member of the committee. He's a member of the committee.
He's a member of the committee.
Yeah, but you know, it's one thing to speak on behalf of the committee, and it's another to hold a personal opinion. And I think what he is espousing is his own personal, passionate opinion. But this committee is yet to make a pronouncement from the process that they have.
And then as far as I know, Honorable Nyenze is not a party official of Wiper. So he may not be speaking on behalf of the Wiper party, but he is giving his views as Honorable Nyenze and saying that he doesn't feel or he doesn't think that Honorable Kalonzo should be a deputy to anyone, which is good view.
Okay,
you know,
I need to point out that
we should take positive, you know. Should take it positive.
I need to point out that we're awaiting Senator Beatrice Elachi. She'll join us in just a moment, but Honorable Moses Kuria is here. And it seems to be, at least from the Jubilee side, the fallout in NASA is when it will happen, not if it will happen.
He looks very gleeful, by the way, when that discussion was going on.
I think that's, Wallace, that's unfair. I mean, I always call my friend Junet to commiserate with him over the tribulations of this fallout. I think, you know, we've been dealing with this path before. You know, from the year 2008 to the year 2013, we were with Kalonzo in an alliance within PNU. And, you know, for me, things are just falling in place according to how I expected them to fall in place. I think my good friend Suna, if he's honest enough, he'll confide that I told him that's exactly what will happen. I think that's like 6 months ago, or when we were in Pangani. Then you look at another thing is that if you look at the committee that is representing Wiper within the National Coordinating Committee, you know, for this merger, it has got people who believe in Raila as a candidate more than Junet and Elizabeth Ongoro, like Mudama, for example. And Kalonzo knows that. So when you find Nyenze is speaking because he is the only one who can, and you know, he's a minority leader in the National Assembly, which is a fairly high and lofty position. But you have to also to understand that this is exactly what we are trying to avoid as Jubilee by forming one party. Which is one thing I say that, you know, NASA's best friend is Johnson Mudama. Because Mudama keeps on telling them, we should form one party. And you know, whether you're in NASA or in Jubilee, you know, this is a country which is, you know, very unique in its own way. Because it's not that we have had it easy as Jubilee forming one party, folding all these parties. But the minute you have got this, what do you call it, this polygamous house, it has got its own dynamics. And much as you try to hold things together, you find that it is possible for other people to, you know, to drive wedges in between, something which we live with, you know, every day. So what's going to happen is that, and I think if you go back to even my social media, I predicted that Raila will run as a presidential candidate for NASA. Take that to the bank. He's a majority shareholder of NASA Inc.
Will the others remain? Kalonzo Musyoka,
so he will run with Musalia.
He will run with Musalia.
Musalia is running with. But that's just on the face of it, because Raila's running mate will actually be Raila.
What do you mean?
Because Musalia is Raila. Raila owns Musalia. You know? Because if you look at Musalia got a whopping 390,000 votes in 2013. He almost got less votes than the rejected votes. Yeah? And Raila got the bulk of the votes in Musalia's
So what you're saying is
which
that
is Western. So what Raila wants to do, he wants to run as a NASA candidate and he wants his running mate to be Raila in the body of Musalia.
Okay.
And take this to the bank. Kalonzo will run on his own, because that's his only survival to keep the Kamba.
Is he joining Jubilee? Have you heard?
No, he's not going to join Jubilee. He's going to run on his own, and he's going to take that block there.
Okay.
And that is it, because Raila believes that he owns Musalia, and if I were Raila, I would believe so. You look at the results. And let me tell you something.
I don't think so. Let me just tell Moses Kuria.
I have to take a break. We'll come back to some more.
Let me explain one thing.
Really quickly, yes.
You see, you can't say Raila owns Musalia. When Musalia was with them after the general election in 2013, in fact, they are the ones who cheated Musalia last election. They signed with him an agreement and told him that that's Mashetani. Number two, there was a post-election agreement between Musalia and Jubilee in Parliament. UDF members of Parliament were part of Jubilee. In this Parliament, we have now, the term is ending.
Okay.
So Musalia, you can't say his own. Number two.
When we come back, I don't want to
Yes.
When we come back, let's talk about MOUs now.
That's a good place. Excellent job.
Our third host.
We welcome Moses Kuria as third co-host to Sidebar. We're going to take a quick break right now on Sidebar. When we come back, Senator Beatrice Elachi will join us. We have plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to Sidebar. Senator Beatrice Elachi is joining us. Thank you so much for making time. Nelson Muga says, who's Moses Kuria kidding? There's no unity in Jubilee. That will show when they start nominations next week.
Oh, unity.
There's no unity in Jubilee, so you can't talk about unity in NASA.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, within Jubilee, this is about candidates who are vying for the same positions.
We have seen that in Team Nairobi. You are at Johnson Sakaja's announcement that he's now running for senator.
Yeah, he's a senator, actually, in waiting in Nairobi. But that's a kid's play compared to what's going to happen in NASA. There's going to be tectonic shifts.
You know, it's really sad when you hear somebody in the person of Moses Kuria assuming that he understands the intrigues within NASA. And even making a statement that they don't have any problem. Just the other day, we saw all your men in red trying to outshine each other. But let me just start by saying, everything you have spoken, Mheshimiwa, is what the Jubilee Brigade is praying and wishing for. It is just wishful thinking. You cannot state and make a statement of fact that you, for sure, you know who is going to be the flag bearer, you know who is going to be the running mate, and that things are falling in place just as you had expected. If you think you know the people you are talking about, I think we know them better. And the position still remains that we are very positive that the process we have put in place is taking root, and it's progressing very well, and none of those four luminaries have come out to make any statement contrary to what we are expecting. So everything that you are stating, and I mean, I respect your opinion, but it is wishful thinking, and rightfully so. And I believe that that is what the entire Jubilee Brigade is hoping and praying for. Okay. But we are going to, you're going to be very disappointed.
Before you add, I want to bring in Senator Elachi, because I want you to respond to this. Abu Nwasi says, Jubilee laughed at ODM's chaotic nominations and the Men in Black saga. Now they have a rapid injury implementation unit.
First of all, we have not done the nominations yet. So it will be an assumption to start talking about nominations when we haven't seen it yet. What we need to ask ourselves as Kenyans is whether we have grown beyond what we saw in 2013, and that we can see a better democracy where people appreciate as we go for those nominations. And I don't want to talk about just Jubilee. I want to say the strong parties. And it's the strong parties within the strong regions that we're going to see how we manage the whole process. So it's not something just for Jubilee, I think for the country, because from that is what we move on and see how we run our campaigns. So if we are going to do our nominations in a shamble way, definitely you don't come out and start now screaming on IEBC, but we need to ask ourselves as political parties, and so therefore, I have a question for my party, Jubilee, to ask that indeed as we move on for nominations, as a woman, I want to see vying in Dagoretti North, a credible team that comes in to indeed examine that we do our nominations and ensure whoever wins, but in a credible way.
But here's a question, because the thing that we're seeing in NASA, which is what Moses Kuria is speaking about, that is at the very top. with regard to the presidential candidate.
True, true.
Jubilee has sorted out its presidential candidate. It's obvious the number one and number two are known, which is President Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto.
Yeah.
The concern among Jubilee members is that the issue will be further down, which is the presidency will have no issues whatsoever. There's no competition there.
True.
But further down, when you have 2, 3, 4 strong candidates, it's not very clear how it's going to be. People are feeling, and we already had some of the implications today, that there's going to be protection of incumbents, there's going to be all sorts of things like that, which will lead to the same problem they're having, but in this case, at senatorial level, governor level, MP and MCA.
You know, one of the things I want to thank Kenyans is that they've moved on, and that's why even in NASA, they're feeling the heat. Because it's not Kalonzo now saying, I am your leader. The people on the ground are telling him, look here, we are telling you this is where we are going. So even on the ground, even the incumbents, if they think that you are there safe, you can be protected by any of the parties, it will be wrong. Because Kenyans have decided this time round, we are taking our destination in our hands, we are deciding. And that's why the heat is in NASA, where if it's, I'll talk like somebody from Western, not like, as a Western Province person. And I'll say, I know in Western Province, if indeed Musalia will not be on that ticket, then I can see the worst to worst in Western Province.
We were just talking about Kalonzo saying, well, not Kalonzo saying, but Francis Nyanza saying if Kalonzo is not on that ticket, then he's walking.
It's because of the heat on the ground. You go back home, people are saying, fine.
So how do you square that circle then?
That's why I'm saying Kenyans have decided. Leaders have taken us for the last 30 years. They've been coming, they tell us, this is where we go. This is where we go. But this time around, Kenyans are saying, we are going to tell our leaders, this is what we want. And you'll find even in Nyanza and even in Central, where leaders, even Uhuru, will be told, this is the person we want, regardless of what party he's in, whether it's Jubilee or not Jubilee, this is the guy we want, and they will vote for.
First, Larry, Jubilee is suffering from what is called hyena syndrome.
What is that?
They are waiting for a hand to fall down from NASA so that they can succeed. They think anybody will fall, someone will fall from NASA, either Kalonzo or Wetangula or Raila or somebody. Number two, the concept of one party, one monolithic party has failed in Jubilee. That's why I was in a show the other day with Kilemi Mwiria. He said, I've consulted the president and he has told me to join Chapchap. I've consulted the president, he has said join KANU. I'm hearing there is a party called POR. Huh? Party PRD.
What is that?
There's a new party they have formed, the party of Ruto and Wale. It's working in Northeastern now. Many of the candidates in Northeastern are taking that party. So you see, that concept had failed. Number two, she's saying that Mudavadi must be on the ballot for Western Kenya people to vote for NASA. On Jubilee, there is no Luya who is on the ticket. So why should a Luya not vote for somebody in NASA and go and vote for Jubilee, and there is no Mudavadi on Jubilee ticket? Number three, and lastly, you see, we have to call a spade a spade. Jubilee are forgetting that their term is ending. The president cancelled his visit today to Western because he has nothing more to launch. He has launched everything, including kitchen, toilets, everything that were available last week, the other week when he was there. Now we can't go, there's nothing to launch. So I'm telling you, time is up for Jubilee. NASA will remain in. Kalonzo, I can tell you, 7 days will pass and he will still be in NASA, and threats are part of the game.
Okay.
The threats you're seeing from Nyanza are just part of the game.
I know you want to jump in here, but I have to take a quick break again. We'll talk about the president's cancelled trips and whether time is up for Jubilee, as Honorable Junet Mohamed says. Stick around.
Welcome back to Sidebar. We have quite a full table today right here in the NTV studio, and one person who has been accused of being more calm than he ever was probably since primary school is Moses Kuria. Are you holding yourself back?
You got a compliment, so you can't ruin it now. Benjamin Mutuku says, for the first time I've seen Mheshimiwa Moses Kuria behave, he's cool and composed, and he said kudos.
But Junet said during the break that it's because Moses Kuria is going for nomination, so he needs to.
Just ask yourself what Larry is doing different.
Larry, what are you doing different?
He's
now
well
you
behaved.
become
Junet Mohamed.
No, he's well behaved.
Junet Mohamed
said, back in kind, you know. He's very good. Thank you very
Junet Mohamed said before we went to the break that the whole idea of a single party has collapsed. That's why Jubilee is starting to form little parties, and time for Jubilee is up. Your response?
No, you know, politics will always find their own level. Yeah. The most important thing is what is a critical part. What's the main game? and what is the rule and what is the exception. Having one party is our rule. Of course, you're going to have exceptions here and there, but are you going to be guided or to be led by exceptions or by the rules? So ours, having one party is a rule, and now having people doing their own little things on the side is the exception. Theirs, having side shows is a main show, and you know, the likes of Mudama are lonely out there. So I think it's, looking back at 25 years of our multi-party experience, it's not that you're not going to wake up and find challenges out there when you're trying to form strong, viable parties that can be able to outlive time. And that's why I wonder, why would our friends even try to dilute the idea of ODM? They should have asked everybody else to join ODM.
But is Moses correct?
That's a party now with a track record.
Is in the issue that you're incumbents, you're the government, so it's easier to attract people into the government with goodies. And because these guys are out of government, they're finding it difficult to come together.
You know, parties form on the basis of common thinking and ideologies, yeah? So I don't know, I think that is a problem with them, because they are just they're together because of convenience and because of circumstances. They're not there because it is a deliberate, well thought out thing, now let us be together. That's number one. Number two, ours is a union of friends. You know.
At all levels?
At all levels mostly, yeah? We are together because we really want together, because we believe in progressiveness for this country and where to take this country.
React to this.
The problem is that people, the principals in NASA don't even like each other.
You know.
Not even friends.
You know, it is very, very interesting.
Things they have said about each other in the past.
It looks like Moses is trying to
more
put
in NASA than us.
On the table. I mean, the Jubilee,
because, you know,
the Jubilee Brigade is quite an interesting lot. First, you say you want one party. You dissolve other parties, you amalgamate into one. And recently you now state that you recognize 2 or 3 other parties that should cushion you from any fallout. I mean, that is doublespeak. And secondly, I don't know what you call friendship. If what we are seeing in the Jubilee Brigade is your kind of friendship, then we don't want that kind of friendship. What we have are equal partners sitting and exercising their democratic space, you know, freely, without malice, without backstabbing, without any hypocrisy. And this is what we are enjoying. We are encouraging everybody to join this democratic space. And even what you are seeing, you know, right now with this brigade talking about this wiper and everybody, you know, everybody is actually advocating for their own party leader to win, and which is just right. But we are still accepting that whoever will emerge the winner, we remain united and we will support.
I want you to react to this, both of you, and Senator Elachi. Arap Limo says Elachi is a Jubilee noisemaker, just like Moses Kuria. They have to tetea the king at all cost. Udhamaki must fall.
Arab nani?
It's called Arap Limo.
That's what?
You're just a Jubilee noisemaker like Moses Kuria. You have to tetea the king at all costs.
Well, in a party you have to be a noisemaker. That's why Trump is a president today. If he was not a noisemaker today, he won't be. That's all I can tell Arab Limo. If you're not a noisemaker in a political party, then you are doomed. Because your space will be taken. So you have to talk. They have to know you're there. You have to raise your voice. That's why we are telling women in political parties, you don't go there to keep quiet. Space will go. You fight for your space and you show that you're there.
You really want me to comment on that?
All right,
you're not serious.
If you don't want to comment on it, fine. Why did the president cancel?
What do you want to achieve by reading that comment?
Because I'm looking at different
comments on social media. Elachi to know that she's a noisemaker or not?
I am going to...
Well, I'm a noisemaker, but in a pinch
I'm going to move along to... Why did the president cancel his trip to Western? A day after he cancelled his trip to Tharaka-Nithi and Meru, then he was going to go to Western, and he cancelled that as well. You were talking about Western earlier.
Because all aspirants are in Nairobi, Larry, and they have to come and verify their documents. So I think you saw there was a huge traffic today. Everyone is in Nairobi, and therefore going to Western would not have helped him, because everyone has left Western to come and verify their documents.
This is what...
Was he meeting aspirants in Western?
Of course.
Was he meant to meet aspirants in Western if he was to go there?
When he comes to Western, the first people who welcome him and who ensure that he has a better trip will be those aspirants, because that's why they're in Jubilee.
But Senator, that sounds a bit disingenuous, because this was well known. This is something that was planned. The fact of the trip and the aspirants.
Let me ask a question.
Yes.
So the president is not allowed to cancel any of his trips. I saw him cancel even one of the United Nations. So what is the big deal of cancelling these other ones?
He cancelled 2 local trips in 2 days.
And he's the president. He has other duties also. The best thing the media could ask the president, what is the next duty that you had?
You know, why,
it's very
Senator Elachi should not speak like that, because, you know, this is the presidency.
Yes.
This is not me and you.
That is why the president's can cancel his trip.
The president's diary is managed by professionals who are paid by taxpayers, through taxpayers' money. And the president's diary is normally planned way ahead. You know, not today, not yesterday, not the other day. The president knows 1 month before now that he's going to visit my village. So if you see him cancelling certain trip, is because of certain extraordinary issues that have come up, especially no projects to launch, especially the area is hostile, especially the area has moved to NASA, like Meru, now is now a NASA zone. Such kind of things can change the president's trip, not other small matters, like what Moses is saying here.
What I'll tell you, Junet, I think the presidency is it's a key important institution. I don't think it is there to say the president can cancel his trip because of Meru, NASA has taken over. Then he won't go to Mombasa where he normally goes. So I think the most important thing is, Larry, the president cancelled with reasons. The best the media could do, and they always go there, is to ask the president, what was the reason? For me, I know the reason was very clear. I have given the opportunity to the members of Jubilee to come and verify their documents, because you are supposed to submit documents that you know are very clear. And therefore, if you have documents that you have decided to fake in, can you just go and ensure they are not fake so that you are not put on a radar at the right time? Simple.
My take is, actually, I am not even worried that he cancelled any trip. As a matter of fact, let him cancel all trips that he has planned and concentrate on trying to feed Kenyans, trying to create jobs for the youth, trying to solve our problems, because he's trotting all over the country and causing even more confusion and causing Kenyans more misery. Does not help, does not add any value to any of us. So really, let him cancel all the other trips he has been planning. The fact is, there are certain facts that shocking to the Jubilee administration. All opinion pollings are showing that they're losing ground, and he doesn't know how to deal with that. There's the turmoil in his Jubilee party and a lot of infighting. They really don't have an idea how to deal with that, because it's only just about the first time they're dealing with anything akin to nominations. And so I think his hands are full. I mean, and fighting his major problem, which is fighting Mheshimiwa Joho, instead of fighting corruption, instead of fighting hunger, instead of fight. So really, I think he has to cancel all those trips to think of what next to plant on Joho, or what next to come up with.
We'll talk about that in the next hour when we come back after the news. And you might probably have a response. We'll save all that for the next hour in the news. Is that okay? Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, please stick around. Everybody stick around. Wallace and I are going to be back with the entire panel. Right now, though, we're going to take a quick break. Lots of senators and lots of MPs, we have introduced them in the last hour. Senator Elachi, people are calling this intimidation of Governor Joho by Jubilee.
Well, first of all, I think it's not intimidation. But for me, I'll just say this in Kiswahili. Ulimi wajua ni kiungo kidogo, matatizo mengi. So I think for me, I don't find it right, both sides. This time, they'll be properly. But then at the same time, I would wish, going forward, I mean, we are leaders in this. I look at the governor of Mombasa. I think the most important thing, and I think it's a very small thing he just needs to do for himself. Forget about all the rhetorics they've been bringing out here. Is that when you find yourself in a situation like this, you deal with yourself, with your issues. What will happen to Kampala University in Uganda will also affect Joho. He has to know that. That when now your papers become an issue and it comes out every day, the universities, which are really public universities where we would wish to go, will start also pulling out. So for me, all I can tell Joho, it's good all what you're doing, but in the end of the day, check, because your degree can be struck in a minute, because every university will feel we are now getting into an issue which we thought we had finished, and we are not finished.
Is this intimidation of Joho?
It says the intimidation of the highest order, and it's expected because, you know, Jubilee is just a reincarnation of Kanu. The way Kanu used to operate, harass people, arrest people, detain people, is the same thing they're trying to do. And it's not going to work because this country has gone far. This is not 91, 92, this is 2017. And I don't think this intimidation, when you receive a threat, again in a public forum from none other than His Excellency the President, that nitakunyorosha, the sub-chief in your location just gets into action without any, he doesn't need any, you know, any orders. The orders have already been issued in public form. So I think what's happening, I'm just from a strategy meeting of ODM today, and we've seen we are not going back to Costas because Jubilee is working for us. What they are doing in cost is enough to guarantee us 90% votes in 2017. So we want to concentrate now in Nyeri, Meru, you know, Muranga, areas where we can get some top-ups.
Honorable Kuria, and it's back to what Senator Elachi has said. There seems to be something very personal about what's going on with the governor of Mombasa. Is that if it's simply a matter of the papers not being legitimate, there's very many allegations like that about very many elected leaders. But this one seems to be a lot of effort put into one thing, which makes it look very personal.
I see three main angles to this issue of Joho. One, you know, I have got a lot of views on, for example, some of the opposition leaders like their party leader. But out of respect, if the party leader of ODM organizes an event somewhere, it is disrespectful for me to go and try and dress him down there. And you can even imagine what would happen to me if I would go and tell him off in an event in Kibera. Yeah? I think all hell will break loose in Kibera.
So you're saying that Governor Joho has been disrespectful to the president?
No, it is his right to criticize the president. And we don't expect charity from the opposition when you're in government. But for heaven's sake, call a press conference. Choose your own function. But coming to presidential events to do what he has been doing is downright disrespectful.
It's disrespectful. Is it a crime?
It's not a crime in the first place. I'm just saying three angles. Number two, we come to this issue of the papers. For me, it's simple. Did Joho sit for KCP or KCSE in 1992 or 1993? Did he get a C plus something which presented the University of Nairobi?
Or a D minus?
Or a D minus. And if he got a D minus, as he has accepted, how was he then accepted at the University of Nairobi? I will leave that to the competent authorities to investigate that, and I will leave that to my alma mater.
Yeah, but you see,
the university. Let me finish.
You must put a disclaimer.
Let me finish, please. I am really watching as an alumni of the University of Nairobi how they actually get out of this, because I will head my head in shame if they accept a D minus.
What is the
And finally, that angle is whether it is fraudulent or not fraudulent, whether it is qualified or not qualified. Is that the standard required of a governor of the second largest city in this town? Is ODM happy with having a D minus as a governor of Mombasa, for example? That's why some people are saying actually ODM means only D minus.
Let me tell you something. Just to,
Senator Ongoro should jump in
no,
first.
1 minute before I forget. You see, the issue of the way he's putting, he must put a disclaimer. The system of government that is in place now should not also put documents and falsify documents, because NEC is under their purview now. They should not put forged documents to pin down someone.
Are you saying that Joho's documents were forged to pin him down?
Exactly.
By whom?
But he accepted as a D minus. He accepted.
Yeah, but you see,
he accepted in a press conference, in a televised press conference.
There are people who have less than D minus, and they are in, I know.
So what is your point? Is your point that he forged, the documents were forged, or is this your point that he failed?
I think documents that are being used to implicate him.
He didn't deny
D
minus.
And that is D minus acceptable to join University of Nairobi?
Yes. Many of these universities now have got programs of upgrading, you know,
where bridging courses.
Bridging courses, where somebody who got D or C or whatever does a course for 6 months, 1 year, or 4 months, or whatever it is, and then he's allowed entry. And so that we leave it to the universities, and I believe they could not have made any provision just for one person. He must have followed due process. But back to what Mheshimiwa Kuria stated that Mheshimiwa Joho has been disrespecting. I've watched those video tapes repeatedly. And there's one thing called disrespect. There's another called correcting misrepresented facts. And what I see in those tapes is a governor attempting to correct certain facts that have been presented before his people, and then he takes that opportunity, because if he does not correct those facts during those occasions, then he is left, these visitors will live and is left dealing with facts that are not right. And that is what he did in all those occasions. But having said that, let us all remember that, you know, once you are a leader, a public servant, certain things go with it. And, you know, restraint is one of them. When you have somebody in the person of a president actually publicly issuing those kind of strong words that we see from the presidency directed to one person, is akin to a parent actually taking on one of his children and saying, I am going to kill you, or I'm going to do something. I mean, really, it is like you are already landing the entire state machinery on top of one person called Governor Joho. It is absolutely not right. And all these things, gagging him, telling him not to go to this place or that, while we are already claiming as a nation to enjoy the benefits provided by the new constitution, really. What are we trying to state? That we actually did not even believe in the provisions of the new constitution? What do we say about freedom of choice?
Given the fact that this has consumed so much oxygen for the last 1 week, that's Junet Mohamed's phone, by the way. So
what is happening with your phone?
He's actually switched
No,
off. But anyway,
it looks like
on a more serious note, if this thing has consumed so much oxygen in this country for the past week, is there an opportunity, is there a scenario where both of them can step back publicly and simply come and say it's gone on too long, it's gone too far?
I think that would be the right thing to do.
It's our wish for that. But for us as honorable members, and I want to tell Junet, you know, when we look in front of this TV and our children are watching, and we want to tell our children they're not supposed to go to school, is that what we want to say today? That you are here, we are talking of a person, and that's why I said, I would wish with all this that has happened, now he looks back into himself now as a person.
He's the governor.
The governor, as a person, and tell himself, there are some issues I need to deal with, and for one, before the universities I ever stepped in. Because don't forget, this is a governor who also, Larry, went to a case on the same issue. So do we want to say today our courts could not do good investigation?
Counterpoint here from Anthony Moyake, who wonders, D- is now a bigger issue to Jubilee than NYS scandal, Eurobond, Baringo conflict. You're concerned with votes, not development.
Let me tell you, Larry, that's why I've asked, and I repeat, are we saying the 1 million children should now see the concerns of this and forget about education completely? Is that what we want to come out of here today, Larry, on NTV?
No, what
that
we want to come out
education
of
is
here,
useless. Wait first.
No.
Because there is an objective in everything. And we are not here to say, we are saying there are many issues, yes. But there's one thing that made me become Beatrice Elachi. It is only education, Larry. That is why I can now sit down with a president called Uhuru Kenyatta, who came from a different... That's why education brought us on table, regardless of poor or rich.
Larry.
Now, do we want to bring in the context of the governor of Mombasa to say we now rubbish the whole system of our education and tell my child today who is watching that, you know what, you can do without education, and a D- is a good thing, and you move on. No. I refuse that as a parent. I refuse that as a woman parent.
But that is not what is being put on the table. Nobody is rubbishing the education system. Nobody is trying to say, well, this is good or that. But what else do you want to tell the more than 90% of Kenyans who actually never make it beyond that grade anyway? Are you not telling them that does life stop by somebody not attaining a grade that makes him get a direct entry into the university? What are we stating to all the other, all of us know about last year's results, for example? Are you trying to tell them more than 90%, in fact 95% of candidates who did not make it, to university, that actually they do not have a second chance at
Honorable
life.
Mohamed.
We need to use this kind of examples to state to the youth that life does not stop there.
Indeed.
You can have a second chance. Actually, you can upgrade. You can still, enroll and make sure you perform better.
And you know, all our constituents where you come from, where I come from, we have got a lot of people who didn't go through college, and it's not a crime not to go through college. But what we are saying is, for the position of a governor of the second largest city in the Republic of Kenya, having a D-, if you said those garbage collectors there, they might even collect the governor.
The requirement only talked about a degree.
No.
The requirement did not talk about what you got in nursery school.
Honorable
Junet, you wanted to jump in
We
here.
are not saying education is not important. But what we are saying, leadership is not about education only.
But it's in the Constitution.
Then we delete it from the Constitution.
That. Being in the Constitution does not mean that that is the only qualification you need to have to be a leader. Number two, some of the best leaders in the world have never gone to school. They didn't have proper and formal education. Winston Churchill was the best prime minister.
We chose as a country to put in the Constitution, though.
Let me put my point. Winston Churchill was one of the best prime ministers Britain ever had. And he has never had a formal education. We have people who claim to have gone to school and they are now managing this country. You're talking about a city in Nairobi. Our whole country is being mismanaged by people who tell us they have degrees, of which you can't authenticate. Number two, Larry, this man has told you, I have gone to school, I got a D-. There are people who got E in the exams, E.
Yeah.
I know of professors who are teaching in University of Nairobi who failed in their KGC's education in the 70s, and now they are professors at the University of Nairobi. Getting a grade in a school does not terminate your life, my brothers and sisters.
We need to end this. We need to end this up. But I just want to ask one very simple question, Senator, and maybe to you, Honorable Mohamed. Are you saying then that we should delete this clause from our Constitution? You're saying leadership is not about degrees and education, but it's in the Constitution.
But you see, this is a governor who has gone to university. This is a governor who has gone to a university, and his university senate has authenticated his degree, and they have told you this degree is authentic.
The Constitution talks about the requirement for one to have a degree.
Correct.
It does not talk about the requirement for one to have excelled in his baby class, in whatever, because you could, if he got a D and then he upgraded and then passed the subsequent examinations, the Constitution is very, very specific that you need to have a degree. It doesn't talk about the process. The process then, if it was already okayed by the admitting university, who are we to sit here and start questioning an entire institution that must have interrogated?
We've seen people who don't have undergraduate degree and they have masters and PhDs.
And that's why I say it is so simple. All he needs to do is say, I got a D-, I upgraded myself like this.
That's what
I moved to this level.
All right.
But we have a distinction between the issue of forgery and the issue of qualification.
Forgery is a
qualification makes me sad.
Forgery is a framed up charges of Jubilee.
Nobody forged anything.
Framed up charges of Jubilee.
Yeah.
That is the forgery we're talking about.
Your response to that is
framed up charges of who? Jubilee.
Well, all I'll say is that in NASA, education will be zero.
Garbage collectors will collect it, thinking he's part of the garbage.
You can take this to the bank. Joho will be the governor of Mombasa in September 2017.
And garbage collectors will go for him.
Take a loan with it.
Which garbage collectors? Definitely they are not garbage collectors from which is your constituency.
Gatundu South.
Gatundu South.
Okay.
You know, believe in education.
We have to leave it there.
There's a minimum threshold.
We have to leave it there.
You can even make decisions affecting billions.
Jaramogi believed in education than any other place. When he can come out from the grave list of
Suna, repeat that in Suna, you'll be stoned. D-.
Yeah, it was good grade.
You're joking.
It's good grade.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to leave it there. On behalf of Wallace and I, thank you so much for